Will 2016 prove to be the new norm for tropical disease pandemics in Hawaii? For the past decade, there's been a sharp rise in viral diseases transmitted by insects, particularly mosquitoes that thrive in wet tropical surroundings. And do we have the resources to handle tedious investigations for outbreaks of contagious viruses like hepatitis A? What do you need to know to stay safe? This live broadcast of Insights on PBS Hawaii starts now.
Aloha and welcome to Insights on PBS Hawaii. I'm Malia Maddock. In less than a year, Hawaii's public health officials were hit with one statewide health alert, two outbreak emergencies, and mounting public pressure for quick and effective resolutions. During the ongoing investigations, the community often demanded immediate action and results, but in reality, the investigative process is slow and tedious. What did we learn from these outbreaks and the ensuing response, and are we better prepared for the next time? We look forward to your participation in tonight's show. You can email, call, or tweet your questions, and you'll find a live stream of this program at pbshawaii.org. Now to our guests. Dr. Sarah Park is the Hawaii State Epidemiologist and Chief of the Disease Outbreak Control Division for the Department of Health. Dr. Park directs all activities related to emerging infections and disease surveillance and investigations. She also leads efforts related to immunizations and public health preparedness. TOBY CLAIRMONT is the Executive Officer for the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency, which is in charge of preparing Hawaii residents and visitors for disasters and overseeing the response to state emergencies. Previously, Mr. CLAIRMONT was the Director of Emergency Services for the Healthcare Association of Hawaii. Tom FRIGGE is a food safety expert for the Hawaii Restaurant Association and owner of Tobiko Food Safety, which provides food safety training classes and certification, as well as food safety audits. Mr. FRIGGE was also given a 3-year appointment to the Advisory Council for Food Protection Practices in Hawaii. Lauren Chung is a senior at Konawaena High School on the Big Island. She contracted dengue fever in October of 2015 after coming home from a school field trip. Ms. Chung was sick for about 2 weeks with the illness, and shortly after, her mother also contracted dengue fever. Let's start tonight with a discussion, thank you all for being here, about last year and just what a crazy year it was. Dr. Park, have you ever seen a year like it?
I don't think so. Maybe 2009 pandemic came close to it, yeah. But no, and I can say my staff all agree we don't want to see another one like it.
Do you think that there was anything sort of behind that coming together of circumstances, or just the perfect surf storm?
I think, yeah, the perfect surf storm, just we got lucky or unlucky.
Yeah. Mr. CLAIRMONT, I heard you say, yep. What were your takes? What was your take on last year?
Well, last year I think was a good turning point because it allowed our agency at the state, working with the Department of Health, to come together and begin some really dynamic planning relative to some of these emergencies. So where those plans didn't exist in the emergency management agencies before, they do today.
And we're prepared. Lauren, we're going to hear a lot about your personal story as we get into the show and we talk about dengue, but can you give us a snapshot of just what it was like, the experience last year in your community and for you personally?
It was a crazy year. As a senior, it's not just in the community, but also at school, and just trying to get things together, and adding on to the fact that you have these outbreaks that happen, and getting infected really affected me. Being able to do what I normally do, and crazy.
Was there a lot of chatter in your community about the outbreak and how it was affecting people?
Well, watching it on the news and hearing about dengue, it was different than actually getting dengue. All of us, we watch these things that happen on the news, and sometimes we feel, oh, maybe that won't affect us, so it's just gonna blow over like normal. And nobody I know is probably gonna catch dengue, and then all of a sudden it hits you. Oh wait, I have dengue. And yeah, crazy, and reality kind of hits you on the head, and you see, oh, this is happening now. You know, this is affecting me, this is affecting my community, and it really spurs you to do something about it.
In addition to sort of the massive impact on people's health, there were also business impacts for the community last year. Mr. Frigge, you were speaking earlier that for many people who sell poke, raw fish, it was not a good year for business.
I work with a lot of restaurants, and in Hawaii we love our raw and undercooked seafood, and I mean that's just a staple here. But as soon as the hepatitis A outbreak hit and we were getting news reports about it, people assumed it had something to do with poke, even though it ultimately didn't. And so the poke restaurants and sushi restaurants had their worst year ever, from what I hear from my customers.
It had a real impact.
Yeah, it sure did.
Let's talk about hepatitis A. Dr. Park, can you tell us what is it? Who's most at risk? Is everyone at risk?
Everyone who isn't vaccinated is at risk. Everyone who hasn't had the disease already is at risk, because if you have the disease or if you've been vaccinated, you're immune. That's it, and you're no longer susceptible. But for all the rest of the folks, and it's mostly adults, because now we vaccinate our children. You know, so happily, for us at least, if you can look for one silver lining out of that outbreak, we saw no children among our cases. It was all 18 and up, essentially, or maybe about a little bit younger than that, but essentially, and they were all unvaccinated among the cases. So it really just demonstrated to us the power of the vaccine, how can protect you. But to get back to your question, remind me again.
What is hepatitis A?
Yeah, so hepatitis A, I mean, hepatitis, quite frankly, just means inflammation of the liver. So your liver is inflamed. It's been infected by something, this virus in this case. And hepatitis A is very different than hepatitis B or C. In fact, the only thing these viruses have in common is the name, the hepatitis. They're actually very different viruses, and the way they're transmitted is very different. So you can't even say hepatitis B and C are anywhere similar to hep A, because while they're transmitted through blood and bodily fluids, hepatitis A is transmitted through your stool, your poop, so to speak, to be really blunt about it.
So fecal matter is
fecal matter. Yeah. So contamination, if you don't wash your hands well after, and you've been infected, and you don't wash your hands well after using the bathroom, now you handle food or drink, water or something, you contaminate that, and you can then infect someone else. If if there's contaminated waste in water, say in some of these endemic countries where their sanitation is not so great, and now that wastewater is basically contaminating either food or drink or whatever, could be ingested by humans, other people. That's how you can get infected as well. So there's any different number of ways, but essentially it's contamination from infected waste.
And so if I understand correctly, ultimately this came down to scallops, and the thought is that it was probably contaminated water that the scallops, is that correct?
That's just very typical of a hepatitis A outbreak, is shellfish. Shellfish are filter feeders, and so whatever's in the water stays in the shellfish, whether it's bacteria or viruses. And when I teach my food safety classes, that's what I tell them. Shellfish is a natural reservoir for hepatitis A. And one quick note about it is that it's the only foodborne illness that you can be vaccinated against. So a lot of my customers and a lot of food service workers around the state got vaccinated about 6 or 7 months ago when this first broke. And I want to remind them all that it's time to get their second one, because it's not effective unless you get 2 shots about 6 months apart.
Thanks for that. Yeah, it's really important, because there were a lot of folks in our communities that got vaccinated as a result of the concerns about the outbreak. And it is really important. This is around the time that they'll probably be due for that second dose, and it's really important they don't forget, because to be absolutely sure that they've got 100% protection.
Because if we're importing food from around the world, how do we ever establish that the food source is safe? There's no way.
There's
you
really
can't guarantee it.
No, you really can't. Very small percentage of our food is actually inspected upon importation into this country by the FDA. I think it's right around 2% of actual inspection. They do it in a smart way, you know, the most dangerous foods and so forth, and from suppliers that they know have a problem. But still, 2% is a pretty small amount of the food that actually gets inspected.
Too little, huh?
Yeah.
We invited a representative from the Food and Drug Administration onto our program, but no one was available. Instead, the agency offered to answer our questions in writing. Let's take a look at those questions now. Are imported foods inspected when they arrive in Hawaii by the FDA? Random checks of shipments. The statement is, imported food products may be subject to FDA inspection when offered for import at U.S. ports of entry. FDA electronically screens all import lines using the predictive risk-based evaluation for dynamic import compliance targeting PREDICT analytics tool. PREDICT helps field inspectors determine which products pose the greatest risk and therefore are the best targets for physical examination or testing. PREDICT also flags certain products based on import alerts, import bulletins, or other criteria.
That's what you said.
FDA investigators determine which products to physically examine and/or sample based on the information flagged in PREDICT, the risk profile of the import line, availability of resources, and other factors. Mr. CLAIRMONT, your thoughts on that? Would you like to see that altered or changed, increased?
Well, you could certainly increase it. You'd have to increase the manpower it would take to do it, and that manpower would have to come from someplace else. It's similar to with the Department of Health last year in the dengue outbreak, dealing with the vector control. You know, how many people do you have on the street, in the field, actually going out there and characterizing the mosquito population? So, you know, you shuffle things around. We might do that for a while, but unless I think you can get it up to a pretty good proportion of the food, you're not likely to really make a big difference in detecting what comes in.
A certain tipping point is necessary before you can really make a difference?
We have the same thing with just regular shipments in containers coming into the state of Hawaii. How many of them are actually looked at, inspected? You can go back to like fireworks. How many of them got into the state of Hawaii during the fireworks? And those are inspected as well. So yeah, you can increase the resources and you could penetrate that for a while, but I don't know that it's sustainable over time.
It could be incrementally safer, but to make it 100% safe would be impossible and very, very expensive.
Right.
I mean, just for the incremental improvement in food safety, it would be so expensive it wouldn't be worth it.
Better off to go get the vaccine, huh?
Yeah, exactly. If you could take that same resource and put it into education and vaccines, you would probably make a bigger hit than trying to detect it coming into the state of Hawaii.
But the thing is that, you know, even, you know, aside from vaccine, as Tom said, this hepatitis A is the only foodborne disease where you can be vaccinated against. So we still have issues with E. coli, salmonella, shigella, you know, bacterial pathogens and various other things, norovirus, you know, and I think there's, you know, the best thing that we can do is, aside from vaccination for hepatitis A, is also to be mindful of appropriate food handling, you know, at home. So hand washing, you know, and not mixing up, you know, if you're preparing raw meats to then start preparing raw vegetables that are going to be eaten, you know, and of course the best of all cases is to cook your food well, you know, and of course, as Tom mentioned, we're a culture here that does like raw meats, raw fish specifically, raw seafood, and so as I'm always saying, you know, even you don't have to leave here to live a little bit of adventurously, essentially, and I think we always just have to keep that in the back of our mind, and that it's, you know, you're going to take those risks, and that's okay. I mean, I will eat raw seafood as well. I love sushi and poke just like everyone else, but I also keep in mind that that is always a risk, and you have to live life. You can't live in a little, you know, shoebox and hope that you're going to be okay all the time, 100% of the time.
And the temperature that you have to get the seafood to render it safe is a temperature most people would never cook seafood at. So, correct?
Yeah, for hepatitis A, I think it's 185 degrees, which you never cook seafood that hot.
So it's kind of, that's not the answer, right?
Yeah.
Dr. Park, you alluded to, I think, food safety training. The people that work in the restaurants have to be trained in food safety, and that will go a long way in stopping a lot of the things you mentioned, norovirus, salmonella,
Shigella.
Shigella,
Although
yes,
in this
all
To a
case-
certain extent, because that only can protect us if a person or the product is contaminated here. But if we're importing, and this is a bigger issue in terms of globally, you know, our global food security, and the fact that we have first world nations now that, including especially the U.S., we can't produce enough food on our own for our own population. We're depending on third world nations essentially for our food, and I think people just need to keep that in mind. In that, you know, we are taking risks, you know, and it's just a part of our life at this point. And so I think globally we all need to come together as a community to figure out how do we assure the food security, you know, in our entire world, essentially.
As in this case in which it was imported scallops that ended up being the source of this outbreak. That was another question that we put to the FDA. People wonder what happens to companies that export contaminated food. Here's what the FDA had to say about that. On September 15, 2016, FDA placed molluscan shellfish produced by Deoro Resources on Import Alert 1650. This means that the identified products are subject to detention without physical examination when imported. In order to be released into U.S. commerce, the importer must show the products are compliant with U.S. laws and requirements, otherwise they will be refused admission. Tom, your thoughts on that? Is that a high enough standard to hold companies that have had that record too?
Well, their hands are kind of tied because it's a foreign company. They can't levy fines. They can't arrest anybody. So that's about all they can do is just embargo any product that company tries to send into this country anymore. So that's about it, yeah.
All right, and if you start to show the signs of this, who should you report yourself to prevent another outbreak from catching?
Right, so in the state of Hawaii, and in actually many states, for reportable diseases such as hepatitis A, our clinicians, so physicians, even nurses, anyone who's a healthcare provider is obligated by law to report if they suspect a case. So there's that, number one. And number two is if a laboratory gets a request for testing, they have to report that as well. But as for the regular person, if you start to develop the symptoms, and generally they can be kind of vague in the beginning, feeling a little, you know, maybe a little stomach discomfort and such. Fever will be very mild, and eventually some people might develop the yellowness of the skin, and some people don't, by the way. Not all of our cases develop yellowness of the skin, jaundice. A lot of them actually develop some dark urine. So these are all symptoms to look out for. If you develop that, don't just sit at home and think it's going to go away. Please go see your doctor or your nurse practitioner or whoever your healthcare provider is so that they can help you figure out what's going on, because they're the ones who are going to really, you know, be the ones to help you, and they're the ones who will know whether it needs to be reported to us and distinguish it from something else that could be equally serious. Maybe it's not hepatitis A, it's something else.
Something else. All right, we're going to circle back to this because we do have a lot of questions on it, but I want to make sure that we get to Lauren. And so let's talk a little bit about dengue fever. Could you share with us your experience? You were on a school trip when this started for you?
Well, coming home, getting ready to eat dinner, I just didn't feel hungry. I skipped out on dinner and then, you know, slowly started getting a headache, back of the eyes, as they said, you know. And I was sitting there thinking, oh, I don't think it's dengue. I'm probably just sick, tired, you know, coming home from a busy day. And I'd probably get over it by the next day, and it slowly, I found out, or I, you know, kind of realized, oh, probably not. This is gonna keep going, and yeah, it got worse, and you could feel myself getting sicker and sicker by the hours. It's very fast for me, you know. Usually when you get sick, you kind of feel some symptoms the first time, then a couple days later you get more symptoms. So this was like rapid symptom after symptom.
Did you mention like nosebleeds?
Yeah, later on in the week, just sitting around, you know, not doing anything strenuous, you feel your nose kind of dribble, and you'd be like, oh, blow my nose, but you get a napkin and it's blood.
And then your mom ended up getting it.
Yeah, I was kind of the outbreak monkey for my whole house. I brought it to my house, and then everybody else got it. So, yeah, yeah.
So now,
I want to stress there, by the way, that it's not person-to-person transmission. So probably what happened was you were bit by a mosquito around your house, and the mosquito then proceeded to visit everyone else in the house.
I was kind of like, oh, mosquitoes, yeah.
And now you have to be quite careful, because if you get if I understand correctly, if you get again a secondary or a slightly different strain, it can make you very, very ill.
Yeah, it can turn hemorrhagic fever.
There is that theoretical risk, and certainly Lauren will have to be concerned about that when she travels in future. If we, knock on wood, ever suffer another outbreak, but it's not 100% given. It's not a given that if she gets infected, she's definitely going to have it. So I still want to stress that while it is a risk, and it may be an increased risk compared with someone who's never had dengue before, it's not going to be. It's not like you're saying that you're going to get. If you get dengue, you're definitely going to proceed on to hemorrhagic features of dengue. It's certainly something to be concerned about. If you ever get sick again, to definitely don't wait too long and just go straight to the doctor.
That was a crazy thing that as soon, like, after I got better, and I went on an international trip to the Cook Islands, and the Cook Islands are known for having a dengue down in that area, and my mother told the project coordinator, hey, spray, mosquito bands, everything you can to make sure no mosquitoes touching.
It's a good mom, She had to worry about that. Tell me, was there a shortage of spray during this period, and what's the plan going forward in terms of if this happens again?
In terms of the mosquito control, that's actually kind of shared between us and the Department of Health. So the insecticides and the mosquito repellents definitely were in shortage during the time, but a lot of the distributors made a concerted effort to bring more into the state of Hawaii. In fact, at one point there was too much of it, and, but they realized that the visitor industry needed it, folks that work out in the field needed it. They couldn't, you could go to the store today, any of the retail outlets, and probably find 2 or 3 bottles on the shelf, but you're not going to find a quantity that was what people were looking for.
Right.
So that solved itself pretty quickly.
I think the culture then too, if you think about it, until the dengue outbreak, for good or bad, and if you think about it from our perspective in public health, actually, as much as we hated going through that thing, then to have on the heels of it now globally the Zika concerns, it actually, maybe was, a blessing in disguise, so to speak, in that it really heightened awareness, and the culture back then, the reason why you didn't see so much spray on the shelves and we ran out so quickly was there wasn't a lot of demand, because our culture here has been, oh yeah, we've got mosquitoes, but they're just really nuisances, and yeah, a mosquito bite is no big deal. And whereas from our public health perspective, we've always been trying to advocate, keep the mosquito population down because we know what the risk is. Now people really understand, I think, that risk is really here, and that we all as a community need to do something to try and keep the mosquito population down, but at the same time, if we can't, to try and protect ourselves from getting bitten. So there is now more of a demand, and which is now why you see more of those things out there on the shelves.
Yeah. Lauren, your mother's behavior was a good example.
Yeah,
She quickly became educated, spot on before
But
your trip.
even for households, our household, the stockpile, we have a lot of mosquito coils at our house, because we have mosquitoes all the time at our house, and to keep them away. I have cousins that their crazy mosquitoes will get them, and so we have multiple packages of mosquito coils, and even if we had those stockpiles of mosquito coils, they ran out like that, and so we had to go around from store to store to see who was in stock of mosquito coils, and getting pretty desperate, going for those new the fans that have the continuous mosquito repellent too.
Is anything in place now that wasn't a year ago? Should this come back this year, or is there anything that needs to be in place?
A lot more vector staff.
Yes, that's a
Thank
big one.
God.
Yeah.
So in 2009, unfortunately, we lost a lot of them. We lost a lot of really great entomologists, vector staff, and fortunately, that was another blessing. If you're I suppose my perspective is, yeah, we hate going through these horrible, outbreaks and various other experiences, but if you look for the silver lining, what's the blessing in disguise? It was increased awareness as a result, increased education, and now we've got more staffing to be better prepared. We have now an entomologist on the Big Island that's really helpful. He's been great about conducting mosquito surveillance and just helping to assess the situation and helping to make sure we're better prepared for, unfortunately, there could be the next time. So.
And credit due, when the Department of Health made the request to restore many of those positions, the legislature responded to it. And so the positions were put out there and they were hired this year. I mean, I think you filled every single position.
I mean, the community, really just everyone's come together, and I think that's the strength of Hawaii.
All right, let's go to some viewer questions. Tom, I think this one should be for you. What's the food chain before we eat at restaurants or buy groceries? How many people are handling it before we eat it?
Oh, well, it depends on the food, of course. If it's imported, then it's like the scallops were harvested in the Philippines by harvesters. They were sold to another company who was sold to another distributor, and then they were sold to the restaurant. And the restaurant didn't really do anything wrong. In fact, they have very good food safety practices, but yet you see that they're being sued because they made somebody sick. A friend of mine who's a lawyer who specializes in suing companies that make people sick says that if you make somebody sick in your restaurant, it's not a matter of if you will pay, it's just a matter of how much, whether it's your fault or not. So there's, it's hard to trace back how many different levels, layers of transportation there are for any given food and how many different people are touching it. It's just very different for different types of food.
And a lot of it is out of our control.
Very much so,
because there are so many points of contact. All right. Are there countries that are more prone to exporting contaminated food?
So if
you probably know that better than me.
I think if you think about it, at the crux of everything, if you think about it, is sanitation, right? And so if you have and it could happen in a first world nation versus a third world nation. But if you think about the resources, available to a first world nation's community versus a third world nation, it's the disparity there. I mean, so really, if we're going to address the issue of food security globally, it goes beyond just saying on the surface, okay, well, how do we assure food security? It's really looking at the nations, these regions, and saying, well, how do we assure that people there have the resources they need to live appropriately, to be able to be healthy themselves? Because if they're not healthy themselves, then there's disease going on in those countries, then it's this whole cascade effect. So it really should not be a surprise. But I suppose that's well beyond the scope of what we can do here in Hawaii. But it is something, I think, no pun intended, food for thought for everyone to think about, to consider that there's a lot of far-reaching effects, that we have to consider.
Is it also food for thought? You might want to consider getting that locally grown shrimp, even if it's more expensive than the imported shrimp, or But the same applies here in that, if it's not been handled appropriately, hygienically, we just had a salmonella outbreak, it just underscores that no matter where it's being grown, harvested, sourced, that, clean water, good sanitation, appropriate handling practices, those are all really key. And so how do you assure that? All right, let's get to some others. This has to do with the dengue conversation. What about using genetically modified mosquitoes to decrease the number of mosquitoes that transmit deadly diseases? Any thoughts?
It's certainly an intriguing idea, and I think it's been definitely closely looked at and continuing to be looked at. I think there still needs to be a lot more research done to assure, that we're not bioengineering something that, finding a solution to one thing and only causing another problem elsewhere. But certainly some of the data that's coming out, it seems promising, but I think we're looking at a lot of different possibilities to try and control the mosquito population, which, as Lauren said, is really hard to get on top of. You know, we don't want to be dependent upon mosquito coils and such when we can come up with a better answer to actually eliminate the mosquito population. And so something like that might be a solution, but there might be a better solution, and we just have to keep our minds open and, you know, hope that the science will eventually tell us which way to go.
Any thoughts on that in terms of from a younger generation's perspective?
Yeah, I think for me personally, the whole genetically modified is something that I personally want to kind of steer away from, because with those studies, they do have positive effects, but you know, there's not enough research done to really know, you know, which way this is leaning, if it's going to be more negative than positive or more positive than negative, and it's really hard to tell.
Do you have any information on what other communities have done to combat the mosquito issue? And
well, we talked about, you know, surveillance of the mosquitoes. We talked about putting vector control people out there to actually, you know, deal with them. I think Dr. Park and I would both agree that one of the things that you can do is to look at your own property, your own homes, looking at places where mosquitoes can breed, you know, old tires, buckets, you know, gutters around your house.
And of course, you can't control what your neighbors are doing, which is a lot of the questions we're getting from people, the frustration.
Yeah, my neighbor isn't
right?
Exactly.
What do I do about a neighbor who does nothing to control mosquitoes?
So you could have a different kind of mosquito that can't breed, or you can eliminate the mosquitoes by going to the source. We would prefer to go after the source because the mosquito isn't there to begin with, or there isn't a big enough population to really successfully transmit it from person to person. So getting the community engaged, getting them to work together, getting neighborhoods to work together and agree, hey, we're all in this together. We need to do something about the mosquito. So there's been a lot of things discussed. Some very good education coming out of the health department. Discussion of like, you know, we have Fire Prevention Week. Could we have a mosquito breeding week where everybody kind of puts their focus on eliminating these potential breeding sites?
Is there a plan in place? Should this happen again?
Yes, there is. I brought it with me. You want to show you?
And it is?
It is. Well, actually, we do. Dr. Park's office and us and the counties have all collaborated to write a mosquito-borne outbreak plan. And it's the first plan that I'm aware of that included all our counties, including the key state agencies together. Usually there's a county plan, there's a state health plan, and there's an emergency management plan. There are all these different plans. So what we've been trying to do is to construct a system or plan that is inclusive of all of them, so that you don't see, you know, light between what different agencies do.
Could you give a specific example of that, of maybe some of the connections that this plan would bring that perhaps hadn't been there before?
So I just want to stress that this plan is, you know, it's not saying that we didn't know how to respond in the past, because it's building upon what we do normally on a day in, day out basis. If we get a notification of a suspect case, it's likely imported, you know, but that if we get a suspect dengue or chikungunya or Zika case.
And could you explain chikungunya?
Sure. That these are all different viral diseases, all transmitted by the same mosquitoes that unfortunately we have here, the 80 species mosquitoes, primarily Albopictus here, but as we know, unfortunately, as a result of the dengue outbreak, Egypti as well. Dengue and Zika are cousins. They're in the same family, and they can cause, but all of these three, chikungunya included, can present very similarly. So it's hard to distinguish all three. Chikungunya is in another mosquito or another virus family. The problem with chikungunya is you can run through your infection, and unlike with Lauren, who recovered from her dengue infection, you can then continue for months to years with very debilitating arthritis, you know, bone joint aches, joint pains, inflammation that can really contort the body. And in fact, the name actually means to be, you know, to become contorted. Comes from an African language. So those are the three. But just getting back to the plan, in that plan is predicated upon what we normally do in response to any suspect case, what we've always done for, you know, forever really, is that as soon as we get a suspect case, even before the lab has confirmed yes or no, if we have a good history, the clinical presentation, the exposure history and such, you know, and my staff or the epi staff are going and investigating, we'll then notify our vector colleagues. Our vector colleagues will then go out to the house again before we've even confirmed. You know, and we will send someone out there, a team out there, the vector folks, to do an assessment of the property as well as at least 200 meters around, and to assess, okay, what is the mosquito activity? Do we need to abate? Do we need to do anything to get rid of mosquitoes? Because the name of the game is, if this person is sick, we gotta protect them from the mosquitoes around them, so we don't have the situation Lauren and her family did, where you could then infect the mosquitoes around, those mosquitoes become infected and they start infecting more people, and we have the outbreak you know, that we had. What this plan does now is basically expand to sort of more of like a massive emergency response. So say we have a huge county outbreak, how do we deal with that? How do the counties come into play? Because clearly, you know, Department of Health has a role in terms of disease investigation, the initial assessments, to do vector assessments, to understand mosquito surveillance. But the problem is we don't have jurisdiction, we don't have the wherewithal really to deal with tires that are abandoned on the side of the road or on a property and get rid of those. I mean, that's beyond what we can do, you know, and so we need to partner with the counties, you know, in terms of reaching out neighborhoods, to neighborhood boards and such, and, you know, doing a lot of the education and just community connections. You know, that's where working with county and other organizations are really key, and that's what this plan helps to outline those things.
Yeah. Lauren, did you see that people started to change the way they kept sort of tires in yards and things like that? Has there been a change?
Yeah, for sure. Within my family, a lot of the things that we have learned about dengue was not so much through community outreach programs. It was more of our own research done. My grandma, very proactive, online research. Everything she learned about dengue, she spread it to everybody she knew, and scavenged around our house for any kind of standing water, tires, a lot of house cleanup.
Yeah. Did you see in your research of this any patterns? Is it primarily catchment communities or anything along those lines?
We found it everywhere. You know, Dr. Park was mentioning the you know, the sort of fiscal downturn in 2009 and the loss of some of those positions within the health department. Well, you know, if you're not paying attention to something, you tend to sort of take it for granted. We see mosquitoes as a nuisance, but not a health threat. Once dengue got introduced, people's eyes got opened, but then they were looking for, what do I do about it? And what about my neighbor? And what is government supposed to do for it? So the idea of all this is that we have a very sort of comprehensive approach to it and prevent an outbreak like this from becoming so large it has major impacts on the state. Yeah. So you can imagine, we began to see some of it during the dengue outbreak, but begin to think about what it would happen to our visitor industry. Yeah. If visitors or prospective visitors began to perceive Hawaii as a threat to their health, just like they were in Florida when Zika outbreak occurred there, it could really affect our economy. Yeah. So we need to identify it early. We need to act early. We need to act together. You know, no air between the different agencies, whether they county, state, federal, between one island to another. We need to move. Working off the science, which we get from the health department. They're the science people. We're the applied science people. We're the coordinators. So together, I think that's what's really different from a year or a year and a half ago. Yeah. Because we learned from it.
Yeah. Let's take a few more viewer questions. This is from Richard in Kaneohe. Tom, maybe you could take this question. He says, there is a gadget that can read mercury levels in fish. Can that gadget be used as a standard to filter bad fish? Is there anything we can do to actually test for contamination and hepatitis?
Well, there are some things sold on TV that say, yes, we can tell you whether the bacteria level on this food is acceptable or not, but I've seen studies that they don't really work.
It doesn't.
And I'm sure you can check the mercury level in the fish with that test, but as far as anything else, for a home test like that, there's really nothing that you can do.
There's no test out there that's going to just tell you immediately, well, there's a deadly pathogen in there. And actually, the question of testing fish or any food product for hepatitis A, I think what's not really appreciated is that, quite frankly, we were amazed at FDA's ability to actually get hepatitis A, to identify hepatitis A in the sample product that they had, and we actually weren't expecting them to
be able to do that.
To be able to do that, because, and it's not a reflection on FDA's ability or not ability. It's the fact that there is no real testing for hepatitis A in a food product is incredibly difficult. And in previous outbreaks, if you all might remember a few years back, the multi-state frozen berry outbreak. You know, we all bought organic frozen berries from Costco and various other places. Believe it or not, they never ever were able to identify hepatitis A virus in bags and bags of frozen product that were tested that we knew came from cases. They were unopened bags. They had to have been contaminated, and some of them even open bags. They had to have been contaminated. So the way they linked it back to, to those frozen berries was through a meticulous epidemiological investigation, and then even going back to the source country and identifying the strain circulating in that source country and matching it up. That's how that was put together. So with our hepatitis A outbreak, we honestly didn't expect.
It was incredibly lucky
It was
to be able to.
incredibly lucky and incredibly timely that around the time we figured out it had to be the scallops, not long after, suddenly FDA said, we found it. And I honestly, my first comment back when I was told that, I said, please tell me you're not joking, right? Don't joke about those kind of things with me. And they said, no, this is no joke. We actually found it. I'm like, oh my God, so everything just came together. It was amazing.
And the poke industry took a collective sigh of relief that it was.
Well, I think it's valuable not to understate the effort you and your staff did. I mean, you worked around the clock in some cases to try and run this thing down. I mean, they worked for month after month after month as more and more cases began emerging. I think it's good work.
I think I also want to commend, it wasn't just the staff that were here on Oahu, and same with the dengue outbreak. I think what people don't know is that because we're both state and local health department, and we have staff on all the islands, when an outbreak like this, like the dengue outbreak or hepatitis outbreak occurs on such a scale, everyone gets involved. Because, just because a disease is happening doesn't mean all the other diseases stop happening. So, we still need people to monitor, investigate leptospirosis, salmonellosis, shigellosis. So those other diseases that are still occurring still need to be followed up so that we don't have another outbreak on top of what's going on. So when, dengue was happening, all the investigators on Maui, Kauai, Oahu were helping out our investigators on the Big Island and the folks there. When hepatitis A was occurring on Oahu, all the investigators and other staff in the department who are involved in these kind of things were helping to pick up the slack for the Oahu investigators, so that things we can continue to monitor and assure that our public is safe.
Did you feel like you were getting the information you needed at the time?
I feel like the information on the news about what symptoms you may have, that's probably the most information I got about, dengue from outside source that wasn't from my family. A lot of the research that we did was, independent research, crazy amounts of Google and looking for it yourself, and finding out what's going to happen, what can you do to help get yourself better. There weren't drugs or any kind of prescription that you can take during the day. You just had to wait it out. So a lot of natural ways to do it. What they do in other countries that have dengue and so on and so forth.
That might lead to this question: how can technology help spread the word about outbreaks? Might we get to the point where maybe if there is one case in an area, there can be sort of a text sent out or something that lets people know you've got sort of an issue and tries to stop it in its tracks?
Yeah, so during the dengue outbreak, we actually started mapping. We started putting out a map, and I just stress that we were pretty much the first ones to do this. I mean, because we consulted with colleagues in Florida and Texas, California, like how do you all let your public know? How do you, what is a good way to map this out? And we basically had to start from scratch because no one had any good answers for us. And you know, you have to remember we have to balance, you know, letting the public know about a risk versus protecting, you know, your personal identity, your, you know, your personal information. You know, I don't think Lauren's now here of her own free will telling us her story, but I'm sure at the time, I don't think she and her family would appreciate if we just suddenly said, okay, Lauren Chung is a case at this address, and you know, you need to be careful because we know that this family is now affected. You know, and we certainly got a lot of flack from some families who felt like we were revealing too much. You know, so it's this constant
by
balance.
even saying there was a case in the area.
Right, and so it's a constant balance, and you know, we want to protect the public.
I feel like it's important that, you know, that they know that there are cases in their area, and I think that makes it more real for some people, because I have friends at school that thought, oh, they made, you know, pull fun for dengue and all that kind of stuff until they heard, oh, one of my classmates or my friend had dengue, and the fact that I came back to school. A week I was out of school, I was really sick, too sick to go to school, and then as soon as I got kind of okay better, I could, you know, kind of focus during school. I got back to school and everybody was looking at me like, oh my goodness, like looking like I'm walking, you know, kind of dead.
Were they a little hesitant
yeah,
to make
they were,
contact?
yeah, well, not to make contact, but they were looking at me. I totally lost a whole bunch of weight. I looked sick, you know, I looked like I shouldn't be in school, but I was. And yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree that people need to be aware, and that's why we started doing the mapping, you know, letting people know that looks like a lot of the hotter activity is going here. And but you know, it was also a struggle in that some people then said, oh, well, the activity is only here, so as long as I stay away from that area, I'm not at risk. And what we were trying to get across was just because we're seeing cases here does not mean that the rest of the, I mean, we're islands. And I'm sure Lauren will attest, you can go easily to the other side of the island on a weekend for fun or whatnot, and that's the norm for all of us, right? So what's to stop someone who's ill? And we certainly saw, no matter how many times you all have heard me say, when you're sick, stay home, you know, and don't go spreading infection and whatnot. People will still travel amazing distances while they're sick. And so we would see that as a pattern going on, and that's why you'd see these new hotspots coming up, because people were going to different areas. And so we're trying to stress to people that, okay, while the map is showing this, be mindful of being careful of being bit by mosquitoes, of getting rid of mosquitoes in your area, because we don't know at what point it might be introduced into that area. And so we all need to do our part to protect our community.
We're in the final 10 minutes of the show, but let's try to get to some of these questions. From Peggy on Oahu, what is the difference between dengue and Zika? What are the difference in symptoms? Could you take that?
It's very, very difficult actually to distinguish the two. As I mentioned earlier, they present very similarly. So you will have fever, you will have aches and pains. And while many cases we know now of Zika infection can have very mild symptoms and and even no symptoms, you could say the same with dengue. We also know that we've had cases, we've identified imported cases here where if you looked at them, you knew their history, and especially where they came from, you would think, well, it could be dengue, and which is why, by the way, that our protocol at the state lab now is if we get a suspect anything, Zika, chikungunya, dengue, okay, we'll test for that. But you know, we're also going to test for the other two viruses, just to be sure, because it's not enough for us to say, oh, it's negative for dengue, so it's not dengue and case closed. We need to make sure that this isn't actually a presentation of Zika or chikungunya, because frankly, wherever dengue is in this world, chikungunya can also be, and Zika, because again, all three of these diseases carried by the same mosquito, the Aedes species.
It can happen. I love this question. What's the worst foodborne illness and how can you get it? Tom, I want to give that question to you.
The worst one is the one that you get.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah. Norovirus probably won't kill you. It'll just make you wish you were dead. And I've heard people say about salmonella that the scariest thing about it is that you think you might live. So any of them can present. Yeah, any of them can present very violently.
Coli 157 with the hemolytic uremic syndrome as a complication is really horrible and can be very tragic. So
a lot of people die from that one.
Right, and so it really is.
How do we prevent it?
Yeah.
Getting away from imported foods and just preventing it in the restaurants. Actually, our health department is taking a big step in that, and it's a work in progress. Back about 2.5 years ago, we rolled out the 2009 FDA Model Food Code, along with the colored placard system, the red, green, and yellow placards. So now you can look at the front door of a restaurant and see a green placard. But so they have the green placard right now, but what was their health inspection when they did get it? Did they have any violations? You can actually find that out now. If you Google Hawaii health inspections, the first thing that pops up on the Google list will be the website that the health department has set up now, and you can check any restaurant now in the state and see their whole health department or health inspection history since the beginning of this program in 2014. We're now just waiting for the governor to sign an update to that regulation, and we're going to update to the 2013 food code, which will include the biggest change will be mandatory food safety training. Anytime a restaurant is open, there has to be one person working in charge who has food safety certification. So we're moving towards the food safety training in the restaurants that every other state in the country has. And that will go a long way, I think, in stopping the foodborne
hand washing,
illnesses.
hand washing, hand washing, hand
That's
washing.
the biggest, yeah.
My
That's
grandmother
my pet
used to say
peeve.
that all the time. So looking,
She was right.
you know, it's true, isn't it? Looking forward, what are we needing to keep our eyes out for? Obviously, this past year was rough, but you know, you can't let down your guard. You've mentioned chikungunya. I always feel like I'm saying that word wrong. Chikungunya a few times. Is that something that you guys are keeping an eye out for?
Definitely keep an eye out for all the mosquito-borne viruses, chikungunya, Zika, dengue. Keep an eye out for hepatitis A. Even now, we keep an eye out for mumps. There's up to thousands of cases now in Arkansas, of all places, and multiple other states. Washington State and various other states are having these tremendous mumps outbreaks. So even that.
And what is that tied to?
So in terms of it, that is a person-to-person transmission. So saliva, right? It's a respiratory virus.
But why a spike?
Because there have been some populations that are moving that are, you know, when you have unvaccinated folks, but also that vaccine is not as good as we'd like. You know, it's 90% effective instead of being more like 99 or 100% effective like the measles virus vaccine is more along that line, whereas mumps is like 90%, which means that for every 100 people that are vaccinated, 10 people are still going to remain susceptible. They're just not going to respond to the vaccine. So you still are going to have this population of susceptible, even in a population where you call highly vaccinated. And then if you just drop someone into that population who's got the mumps virus, you start an outbreak going, and then it's just sort of like a daisy chain. It just follows. Every pathogen will always try to find essentially the susceptibles.
And move towards it.
And move towards it. And so the goal of prevention is really to try how to remove the susceptibles from the disease activity. How do you do that? With mosquito-borne viruses, it's get rid of that vector, that connection to the vector. With foodborne illnesses, it's try to cut that contamination source, you know, try to address that. So it's really trying to figure out how do we protect all the susceptible folks. Maybe it's a vaccine, maybe it's hand washing, maybe it's get rid of the mosquitoes. And that's, you know, just every disease has a way to try and prevent it.
We're in our final moments. We're going to end the show by asking each of you quickly, what did you learn from 2016 and some of these big challenges that we faced?
The epidemiology that Sarah's department did was amazing because they had to ask people, what have you eaten in the last 2 months? I can't remember what I ate 2 days ago, but they got it from the people and determined what the cause was before it was.
That wasn't easy.
Yeah, I can imagine, because that's just crazy.
The value of such research.
Yeah. The health department did a great job with that.
All right, Toby?
I think from the perspective of emergency management is thinking beyond natural disasters, thinking about infectious disease, thinking about cyber, thinking about all these things that you don't wake up with every morning, but they could happen and we need to prepare for them.
All right, Lauren.
Oh,
A
the
lot,
importance,
huh?
yeah. A crazy year. The importance of community outreach, especially when situations like this come up that, people need to know. And it's not just the people that get infected, it's the people that just everybody needs to know of what's happening, where this, as she said, not just where there are spikes of disease, but anywhere, You can get it maybe in a place that may or may not have people who are infected. There might be people that, kind of shamed to go and get tested for it. And it's the fact that you shouldn't be shamed to go in, get tested, because this helps, control the virus. It helps get the information out to people and be aware of what's happening,
Final thought?
I think that this past year has been crazy and we hope never to repeat it, but I would say that over and over again our community came forward, and I think the strength again of Hawaii, of our community, really showed itself. Community among my staff, the team, the incredible efforts that were, above and beyond, but because they did it because this was their community, this is our community.
And they got it. All right,
Yeah.
and that's a good thought to end on. Thank you all for joining us tonight. And mahalo to all of you for being with us tonight. Coming up next week, there's a common phrase in the political arena: all politics is local. Mayors Arakawa, Caldwell, Carvalho, and Kim, these leaders live that truth every day. PBS Hawaii is pleased to invite our 4 mayors for a special live edition of Insights. They will be ready to answer your questions, and we want to ask them if they think Hawaii has become more divided. Are we a state of islands or an island state? Join us next time for our 4 mayors on Insights on PBS Hawaii. I'm Malia Maddock. A hui ho.